Doesn't it sound like heaven to love your teen so well that they can't help themselves but love you back? Welcome to Pivot Parenting. I'm your host, Heather Frazier. And together, you and I are going to build more peace and joy so that your family looks forward to being together in the fun times and so that you are strong enough to overcome any obstacle that your family might face. This is where small weekly shifts that you implement create lasting change so that peace and happiness can truly abound in your home. Hey, my friend, welcome to today's episode. We are doing another reprise. This is episode 51, originally titled On the Same Team. And the reason why I wanted to reprise this episode from, 5 or more years ago is because this is another really common struggle that I see with parents. And it is human nature to pit ourselves against people who we find annoying, frustrating, hard to deal with, which are common emotions toward our own children. And it never ends well when we are on opposing sides with our child. Because even if we win, our child loses, and we love our child, they're our child, so we lose as well. We want to always stand on the same team with our child, be their biggest cheerleader, their biggest advocate. Sometimes this means having their back. Sometimes this means allowing consequences to fall into place. But it is the best way to love and support our child, is to always be on their team. So listen in as I teach you this concept. As always, please reach out if you have any questions or if I can do anything for you. And I hope that you enjoy it. Hey friends, welcome to the podcast today. I am super excited to have you here, and I talk a lot about putting yourself on the same team as your child, and I've given you little nuggets here and there in different episodes, but today I decided to do an entire episode on this concept because I think it's really important, and it's a foundational piece that you can see play out in a lot of different areas. And if you can master this one trick, then it really comes through all over the place. So I thought that I would just talk about it today. And left unchecked or to our own devices, our natural man brain or primitive brain, lizard brain, monkey brain, whatever you want to call it, does the driving. And this is our out-of-the-box instructions that our brain does. And this natural man brain likes to assume that everyone is the enemy, that our kids hate us, that they lie all the time, that we're awful parents, that everybody's judging us. All of those kind of things are what this natural man brain likes to tell us. And this is the voice that drives us to put up our defenses. Sometimes this is helpful, but a lot of the times it's not. And so we just want to have an eye on this little voice so that we can see when it wants to lead us towards something that we don't actually want, like being at odds with the people we love most of all. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, being on the same team. Now, oftentimes, parents will ask me for specific things to do. They'll say, just tell me what to do. I want to fix this. And while I can't necessarily tell you how to fix it, I am going to give you some practical tips and tricks. So today's your lucky day. But in order for these tips and tricks that I'm going to give you, you want to have your most powerful, helpful, lovely thoughts fueling them. Because everything that we say or do has to begin as a thought, right? And those thoughts create our feelings. And so we don't want to try these tricks out when we're feeling resentful or hurt or angry, because you're going to get a totally different outcome than if you try them from a better feeling like empathy, love, all of those kind of things. Okay. So these actions that I'm going to give you, there's 5 of them, which is not all inclusive, but I think it will give you a good start and get you headed in the right direction. these actions, they don't necessarily create the result without the right energy fueling it. In other words, when we have relationships, we just can't put in X and Y and get Z. There's more ingredients to this recipe, right? And that is our intentions and all the thoughts and feelings that we have that go inside those or coincide with those actions. So the first action that I want to teach you is partnering language. And partnering language puts us literally onto the same side. And this can help with your child being defensive. And it seems really minor, but it actually can come a long way in just that subconscious, hey, I'm on your side kind of vibe. So what this looks like is you saying, we're all going to stick around and help clean up dinner, right? The we would be the partnering language. Or when we fight, it never ends up like we want it to. So if things are getting hot, you can say, why do you always have to fight with me? That's not necessarily partnering, right? You're putting yourself at odds. But when you say, when we fight, it never ends up like we want. That's partnering. Or you could say, I all get it. We all get a little grumpy sometimes. It's no big deal. And that's totally true. We all do get a little grumpy, and it shows that you can relate and that you're partners, that you're on the same team. Or let's both just pause and take a deep breath, right? We're saying, let's both. So again, you're right next to your child. You're not on opposite sides of the line. Or should we work on this together? Or what do you think we should do? Those are all just some examples of partnering language. So that's the first thing that you can try. The second thing that might be fun to try is counseling together about decisions, rules, plans, all that kind of stuff. And this you want to ease into, and you take it in areas that are applicable. So this is definitely not a one and done kind of trick, but it's a gradual pivot that you're going to reassess often, you're going to tweak, you're going to play with and fiddle with, and you're going to make changes to suit each child in each stage with various circumstances. Okay, so this one takes a little more finesse, but it's not hard once you get it down. This can look like being casual in the kitchen or at bedtime or driving in the car. But I've made them pretty specific phrases, just tight phrases for the sake of examples. And I want you, when I give these to you, to remember all the while that our job as a parent isn't to prevent our child from failing all the time, but just to be there for them when they do. Because sometimes failure is our most memorable teacher. And we as parents can help shape the meaning around that failure. Even failure isn't necessarily a fact, right? It's just a belief system. If we get a bad grade on a test, we think we failed, but what does that even mean, right? So remember that as I give you these examples, it's not our job to prevent our child from all of the obstacles that can get in their way. Some examples of counseling together for decisions and rules could look like this. You are officially a teenager. Let's chat about what that might look like, starting junior high, puberty, going bra shopping, any of that kind of stuff. What are your thoughts? Let's talk about it. Or we want to get you a phone, but first let's chat about what that might look like. Right? The different rules. What do you think is fair? What do we want to do as parents? All that kind of stuff. Let's sit down and talk about it. Or, hey, we're considering planning a trip. What sounds fun to you? Where would you like to go? Or what are you thinking about after high school? Any colleges that you're eyeballing? Any tech schools? Maybe a mission? Like, what are your thoughts? Let's hear what you've got to say. Or now that you're 16, we would like to revisit some of the house rules. I know with our kids, 16 meant dating and later curfews and a different set of rules. We have rules like that people that they're dating don't get to come in their bedroom and that kind of thing. So that's a really good time to sit down and talk about rules and get their input and what's important to them and to listen to that. Or another good example of how this can look is now that you're an adult and you've lived on your own. So when you come home to stay with us this summer, here's what we expect that to look like. What do you think? What do you think is fair? What's really important to you? We've had our oldest come home and stay with us at various times since she's moved out. And it's important to have those conversations and get their input. Now, this kind of coincides with the next point that I wanted to make, which is to voice your expectations. And this seems obvious, but we all make assumptions at times that come back to haunt us. So a funny example of this would be when our oldest turned 18, she was still a senior in high school, and she just thought that all of a sudden she would wake up on her 18th birthday and not have any rules, that she wouldn't have a curfew, that she wouldn't have to turn her phone in at night. And we kind of laughed and said, yeah, no. And we said, the same rules apply until you move out. And she was a little bit upset about that, but it was important to talk about that and make sure that she knew how we felt and what was going on. So examples of this could look like, hey, remember that I expect you to not have any missing assignments by Friday if you want to use the family car. Or you're wanting to try out for cheer, attend summer camp, get a job, any of those kind of things. Let's talk it over so that we can better understand each other and know that we're on the same page, right? Like who's going to pay for what and how is the car situation going to work for those different things and getting rides and all that kind of stuff. It's important to have those conversations so the expectations are on the table. Another example could be, I get that you aren't excited about watching your little sister tonight, but I'm counting on your help, and here's why, and here's the agreement that we made, or this is just our family culture or dynamic. And so it's really important to let those expectations be known because nobody likes anything sprung on them. And the kids get a lot of stories in their head, and we do too as adults. We just think that some things are obvious and they think some things are obvious, and sometimes they don't align. So it's really good to have those conversations so that you can have the same goal in mind, right? The fourth point that I wanted to make was to be curious about their reasoning. Sometimes they'll ask for things and we just shoot it down as parents, but sometimes they have really good points and sometimes they just need to be heard even if the answer stays a yes or a no. So some good examples of how to get to this point would be saying, tell me more. When they say something, right? Like my daughter today just asked if she could get an app on her phone. She was really nervous to bring this up to me. And I said, what kind of app? And who plays on this app? And I just had a lot of different questions because I wanted to know more. Another example could be, I really want to understand if you're willing to explain. Because a lot of times our kids don't want to talk to us. And so to leave that as an option for them is really important. Or, I've never looked at it like that. But you could be totally right in that regard. Or I can see how that makes perfect sense from your perspective. Or I get that you don't want to talk right now. I would really love to understand your perspective more. So if you change your mind on that, I'm all ears. Right? Or one of my favorite tricks is just to pause and allow a nice, long, awkward silence. And just wait. Give them a really good moment to try and fill, because most people hate just an awkward silence. So a lot of kids will just start talking. And that is a great way to also hear what they have to say. And if they don't want to talk, which is totally fine, then meet them right where they're at. I like to ask my kids if I can hold them or hug them if they would let me, right? And that leads me to point number 5, ask permission. Asking permission demonstrates that you respect their space, kind of like a teammate, right? You have boundaries like personal bubbles or whatever. And to ask sometimes. Sometimes teenagers can be flighty, and it really helps to ask. So, hey, you look like you can use a hug. Can I give you a hug? Or would you like me to tuck you in tonight? Maybe we can talk later if you would like. Or I've got some ideas if you'd like to hear them. That's a big one. A lot of times as parents, we just think our kids have to listen to us. But usually when we think that, they tune us out. And so we just get some ideas and we offer them to them, and they can accept or decline those. And then the flip side of this, or the second stage of this, is to respect their answer. We don't ever want to ask them a question if we've already decided what we're going to do either way, because that's actually just disrespectful. That's false respect, right? When we already have our minds figured out. Okay, so those are the 5 tips that I have for you. Imagine your teen walking into the room and your heart skips a beat because you're so excited to see them. Just connection, love, and peace flowing between you. You're confident that no matter their mood, it's going to be okay. This is the powerful skill set my clients gain. Book a free Discover Your Disconnection Pattern call with me, and I will outline your exact process to find the peace, connection, and confidence in your teen and their future you're wanting. Visit my website, heatherfraser.com, or click the link in the show notes. Remember, Fraser is spelled with a Z-I in the middle. I look forward to meeting and helping you. And I just want to reiterate again that these tips are for your benefit and your benefit alone. They are not to try and manipulate or control how your kids show up or how they're going to respond. They're just useful pointers for you to position yourself as best you can to help your child. Because teenagers are always looking for a fight. They're keyed up on being on the defense. And so these tips and tricks can help to put you on their same team, and they may or may not respond favorably, but they can give you peace of mind that you're doing your best. And I invite you to take some of these practical applications and apply them when you're in a good headspace. The mood that you can bring to any of what I have shared with you is going to show through in your execution of them. And teens can sniff out insincerity, manipulation, judgment better than a caged animal, right? Like they're very responsive and they can read you. So if you aren't coming at these actions with love, just step back and manage your own mind first and get to that place of sympathy or empathy or love and understanding, compassion. And you guys, I have to be really honest, I'm really good at helping my clients to find these emotions. So if you want help getting to this headspace, hit my website, my Instagram or Facebook, and book a free time slot with me. We can sit and we can visit and talk it out. And I would love to show you how to find the peace and clarity that you need to show up and be on the same team, because it's pretty awesome. I have to tell you guys that my daughter, my oldest, Lily, is 20. this week, which is crazy, but she's trying to figure out her next step in life, and she's coming to us for advice, and she wants our input probably more than she ever has in her whole life. And it's kind of wild. And I think that these tips, putting these into place, have really brought us to this spot where she knows that we respect her decisions, and that we're a safe place to come and seek advice because we're on the same team and we want her to find her goals, not ours, but her goals. And she can really sense that. And it's pretty awesome. So I wish you guys the best, and I will talk to you next week.
Heather is the one, an expert in the field. She knows her